There's a song that only the doomed can hear, and once you do, it never stops. It doesn't come from a speaker or a voice on the wind. It comes from deep beneath the sea, in a place where maps end and legends begin. Some say it's just a sound, like wind howling through old caves. Others, they say it's her, the Siren, not the ones from fairy tales or children's stories. This one is older, darker, bound to a tomb hidden beneath black stone and cold salt water. Most people don't believe the story, but every few years, someone vanishes near the cliffs. No trace, no goodbye, just gone. And the locals, they don't search. They already know what happened. And if you ask around long enough, someone might tell you, if you hear the singing, don't follow it, no matter how beautiful it sounds. Far off the beaten path, beyond where the roads end and the ocean swallows everything, there's a stretch of rocky coastline few dare to speak about, let alone visit. It doesn't appear on most maps, and when it does, it's usually marked with nothing more than a warning. Unstable terrain, dangerous currents, restricted zone. But locals know it by another name, one whispered more like a curse than a place. The drowned edge. Boats avoid the waters, birds don't nest on the cliffs, and no one stays past sunset. What's strange, though, is how many people have tried to reach it over the years. Explorers, treasure hunters, even researchers, all drawn in by a single, strange detail. The sound. A soft, melodic voice that some say drifts up from the base of the cliffs when the tide is just right. No words, no language, just a humming tune that's too human to be natural, but too perfect to belong to anyone alive. Some say it's the wind, others say it's a warning, but those who believe the old stories, they say it's her, the Siren, still singing, still waiting, and buried somewhere deep beneath those cliffs is her tomb. Long before the place was feared, it was worshipped. Ancient carvings found on shattered stones near the cliffside tell of a woman with a voice so beautiful, the sea itself would go still just to listen. She wasn't called a siren back then. That name came much later. But the stories always described her the same way. Long hair like seaweed, eyes darker than the ocean floor, and a voice that could pull the soul from your chest. Some believed she was a goddess cast down from the sky. Others claimed she was a cursed oracle, punished for speaking truths too powerful for mortal ears. But the most chilling version of the tale says she was once human, betrayed, drowned, and buried at sea by those who feared what her voice could do. The legend says her spirit never passed on. It stayed, echoing through the tides, trapped between worlds. Over the centuries, sailors began reporting strange events near that part of the coast, perfectly calm waters turning violent, compasses spinning wildly, and always, always, the sound of a woman singing just before the storm hit. As the centuries rolled on, the stories evolved, but one thing never changed: the warning. Don't listen. Don't look for her. Don't try to find where the voice is coming from. Because the song doesn't want to be heard. It wants to be followed. And if you do, you won't come back. The first written mention of what we now call the Siren's tomb appeared in a weathered journal dated 1673, belonging to a merchant sailor named Elias Thorne. He wasn't a scholar, not even a sailor by trade, but his ship had been pushed off course during a storm, forcing him and his crew to dock near the cliffs they would later call cursed. According to the journal, the coastline was unlike anything they'd seen, jagged black stone that seemed almost melted, like it had been burned by something ancient. Thorne claimed that strange symbols were etched into the rocks, worn down by wind and waves, but unmistakably intentional. but it was what they found in a sea cave that changed everything. As the tide rolled out, a narrow passage was revealed, one that led deep beneath the cliffside. Inside, the air was heavy, unnaturally still. And then, they heard it. A melody, faint but clear, echoing from somewhere deeper in the dark. Elias wrote that the voice didn't frighten him at first. It felt familiar, comforting, like something he'd forgotten from childhood. But one of the crew members, a man named Harrow, wasn't so easily fooled. He began screaming, clawing at his ears, claiming the song was pulling at his bones. They dragged him out of the cave, but he never spoke again. The next few pages of the journal are soaked and smeared, but one line stands out, written in a shaky, almost frantic hand. We found a door beneath the earth, carved from black stone, sealed tight, but breathing. Elias never returned to that coast. He gave up sailing altogether. But years later, when his journal resurfaced, others went searching for the place he described. Few found anything. Fewer made it back. And those who didn't speak of what they saw. Just silence. And the same humming sound, always just out of reach. What makes this legend more than just a story is the pattern. It's not just one sailor hearing a voice, or one explorer vanishing in a storm. It's the repetition, the consistency, stretching across centuries. Every few decades, like clockwork, someone disappears near that coastline. Not just wanderers or thrill seekers, but experienced divers, researchers, entire crews. And the strangest part, it always starts the same way, with the song. Locals tell of people who started hearing it in dreams first, a soft humming that felt too real to ignore. Then came the waking moments, hearing the same tune in the wind, in the waves, even in silence, as if it had followed them home. Some grew obsessed, returning to the cliffs again and again, convinced they were meant to find something. A handful of them carved strange symbols into rocks or trees, claiming it would guide the voice back. Most were never seen again. Even animals aren't spared. Fishermen speak of dogs whining at the shore for hours, staring out into the fog. Birds refusing to fly over a certain stretch of water. Equipment, radios, cameras, sonar, shorting out or recording nothing but static and low, untraceable hums. And whenever someone disappears, the locals react the same way. They stay quiet. No searches, no boats, just candles placed near the rocks, as if marking a grave that doesn't exist. The curse, if that's what it is, doesn't come all at once. It creeps in. It lures, softly. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already too far in to turn back. That's how the siren works. She doesn't take by force. She waits for you to come willingly. And every time you think you found her, it's already too late. In the age of satellites and sonar, it's easy to dismiss old legends as nothing more than folklore, but the siren's tomb refuses to be explained so easily. Over the past few decades, researchers, scientists, and even skeptics have tried to study the area surrounding the cliffs. What they found only deepened the mystery. Oceanographers once dropped hydrophones, underwater microphones, into the depths near the rumored location of the tomb. The devices picked up something unusual, a low-frequency hum, rhythmic and oddly musical, repeating at irregular intervals. The sound didn't match any known marine creature or geological phenomenon. It wasn't seismic, it wasn't whale song, and it wasn't mechanical. When the recordings were analyzed, some said the hum resembled human vocal tones, but slowed down, stretched out, and distorted, like someone singing from behind a wall of water and stone. Paranormal investigators offer a different angle. Some believe the site sits on what's called a liminal space, a spiritual threshold where reality bends and where energy from traumatic events lingers like smoke in the air. According to them, the siren isn't a creature at all, but a psychic echo of someone who died long ago, a grief so powerful it never stopped vibrating. Others claim it's a curse bound to a physical object, maybe a relic buried in the tomb, something ancient, forbidden, and still pulsing with intent. Of course, there are rational voices too. Some scientists argue the sounds and sightings are examples of pareidolia, the brain's tendency to assign meaning to random patterns. What you think is singing could be wind funneling through the cliffs. The tomb? Just an old, collapsed sea cave, a place shaped by centuries of erosion and fear. A perfectly ordinary place, made extraordinary by human imagination. But even the skeptics don't stay long, because there's one detail that never seems to go away: the people who vanish, people who were trained, prepared, logical, people who didn't believe in curses or voices or tombs. They just wanted answers. And now, no one knows where they are. Only one account exists of someone who entered the tomb and lived to speak about it. His name was Mason Hale, a marine surveyor contracted to study coastal erosion along that very cliff line. His report was never made public, at least not officially, but a transcript of his recorded interview was leaked years later, and it's been circulating in paranormal circles ever since. Mason said the job was routine at first: GPS scans, geological mapping, standard data collection. Nothing strange. Until one morning, just before sunrise, he noticed something odd on the sonar. A perfectly smooth cavity beneath the rocks, shaped like a chamber. It didn't match any natural formation. He said it looked carved, hollow, designed. He waited for low tide, then went in alone. He described a narrow, spiraling path that seemed to lead downward, deeper than the cliff should allow. The deeper he went, the quieter it became, until even the sound of his own breathing seemed muffled. That's when he first heard it. Not music, not exactly. More like a vibration that somehow felt familiar, like a tune he couldn't place but knew by heart. He followed it, deeper still, until he reached what he called a chamber of black stone. The walls were smooth, polished like glass, and covered in symbols that moved when he looked away. In the center was a door, closed, seamless. But behind it, the song grew louder. He doesn't remember how long he stood there, but he said time felt strange. He wasn't scared. He said he felt peace, warmth, as if whatever was behind the door wanted him to stay, to listen. But something pulled him back, a flicker of panic, a sudden cold that hit him like a wave. He turned and ran. The path seemed longer on the way out, and by the time he surfaced, the tide had nearly returned. He quit his job the next day, moved inland, never went near the ocean again. But here's the part that still haunts people who read his account. Mason claimed he still hears the song, not all the time, just in the quiet, in his sleep, when it rains, when he's alone. He ended the interview with a warning. Don't go looking for her. Don't listen to the melody. It's not a voice, it's a doorway. And once you open it, you never come back the same. What makes this story so disturbing isn't just the danger, it's the desire, the pull, the lure. Why do people keep going back? Why do they follow the voice when they know what happens to the ones who do? It's not curiosity. It's not adventure. It's something deeper, something rooted in the human mind, and maybe even the soul. Psychologists who've studied cases like this call it the call of the abyss. It's a real phenomenon, that strange urge to jump from a high place, to touch something forbidden, to open a door even when every part of you says don't. Some believe it's our brain confronting mortality. Others say it's the subconscious craving control over fear. But when it comes to the siren's tomb, that instinct seems amplified. Like the voice doesn't just call to your ears, it speaks to something hidden inside you. It's always described the same way, personal, familiar, as if the voice knows you, as if it's promising you something no one else ever could. For some, it sounds like a lost loved one. For others, like music from their childhood. There's always a connection, real or imagined, and that's what makes it so dangerous, because the tomb doesn't need to chase you. It waits, it whispers, it lets you decide to come closer. And that choice, the one you don't realize you're making, is the last one you'll ever make. With so many stories, so many warnings, and so many unanswered disappearances, you'd think there would be a clear explanation by now. But there isn't, just fragments, scattered theories and shadowy evidence, none of which fully agree. Skeptics still hold tight to logic. They say the siren's tomb is a myth fed by isolation and fear, that the strange hums are the result of underwater seismic activity or pressure pockets deep within the cliffs, that the people who vanished simply underestimated the tides, the caves, the sheer danger of nature itself. But believers, they point to the details. Too specific, too consistent. The voices heard by people miles apart, the symbols carved into stone, identical in different eras. The fact that sonar imaging near the drowned edge always seems to fail, except when it doesn't, when it shows something that vanishes the next day. Then there's the personal side, the stories of people drawn to the coast without knowing why, dreams of a song no one else can hear, obsessions that destroy lives slowly and quietly. These aren't isolated events. They form a pattern, one that science has yet to truly explain. And maybe that's the most chilling part of all, that there may never be a final answer, no clear truth, just the question that lingers long after the story ends. Is it all in our heads? Or are we just hearing the first note of something we were never meant to find? Maybe the real danger of the siren's tomb isn't what waits beneath the cliffs. Maybe it's what it reveals about us, that no matter how much we learn, how far science takes us, or how many warnings we hear, there's still a part of us that wants to follow the song, a part that craves mystery over safety, that leans in even when we know we shouldn't, that wants to believe something ancient and unknowable is still out there, watching, listening, waiting. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what it's counting on. So the next time you hear a sound that doesn't quite belong, a soft melody in the silence, a whisper in the waves, ask yourself, is it just the wind? Or is it something older, something calling your name? You don't have to believe the story, but whatever you do, don't follow the song. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.